9:15 and a lovely 79 degrees out in Vegas right now. I'm out driving for dollars this evening, and what that means is I'm actually driving around looking for distressed properties. And what I love to find is properties that look abandoned and beaten down. And the reason why I want to find those properties is they will be easier to buy as an investor. And there are a lot of different things that you can do with an abandoned property, or what we like to refer to as a distressed property, and I'll get to those in later videos. But my goal simply tonight is to go out and find properties, write them down, keep notes of the property, and skip trace, which I'll cover in a later video. And how I'm doing this is simply, I've got a map, I've got my helpful map right in front of me, and what I like to do is section off one area within Vegas and go ahead and hit that up for the night. And I like to do it for roughly an hour and a half to 2 hours, somewhere in there. And what I find is that when you're driving around at night, you get a good idea of who actually lives in the property. So when you see a place that looks kind of beat up and abandoned, you know, roughly 9:15 at night on a weeknight or school night, because I think a lot of these people have families, if no one is home, there's a greater chance that no one actually lives there. And that's why I prefer going at night. And it's also easier to kind of drive slow and stay out of people's way, because sometimes you need to go a little slower and get a good look at the house and try to get an idea if someone lives there or how abandoned it is. And last night I actually began driving for dollars, so tonight is my second night doing it in this campaign. And I find that getting out of the car and actually going to talk to people is pretty easy. Even though it is at night, it can be kind of scary to some people, but you'll find that people are out walking their dogs, and I'll simply ask them like, hey, and you know, if anyone lives in this house over here, and sometimes you get pretty good feedback. And last night I found a few fourplexes, a few multifamilies, and the neighbors were outside, and they mentioned that no one had stayed in the adjacent properties for the 2 years that they had been there. So that gives me a good idea that it's a distressed property. It had been burnt down from a fire, or at least enough fire damage that the structure's still there, but it is certainly distressed. And that is how I'm going to find the properties. And I use a memo, it's called Memo on Android. It's just like a note app, and I basically write down the addresses, and I write down notes about the address or the property, something I find. I find that that might be a little easier to connect with the owner if you're able to get a hold of them, and it helps keep in your mind what the property you looked at it. Alright, this is what I like to see. I don't know if y'all can see it. It's clearly distressed. You can see that no one lives over here. And I'm gonna go check out the property. There's no cars around the property. It looks pretty beat up. I see one light on. So it looks like someone lives in here, but definitely not in this unit or the one upstairs. It's pretty dark, you probably can't see it, but it's definitely beat up. And if you look around the area, there are pretty nice units around here, clearly inhabited. There's cars and people walk around. It feels safe, you know, but these units are clearly distressed. There's a better view. There's a bunch of wood on the outside. Looks pretty beat up. Clearly no one lives in it. Here's another distressed property. It's so beautiful to see. For any of you wholesalers out there, you know what it's like to see the wood out front to know that a property is distressed. Bingo, this is exactly the house I'm looking for. We got a dumpster out front. Private property, no trespassing signs. I don't know if y'all can see, but it's definitely distressed. There's no one that lives here. I see some wood out front. It definitely feels like no one's lived here for months. It's really dark, and this is definitely a property I'll write down. Can't tell if an investor has already come here to start flipping, but I'll definitely write the property down. One of the neighbors just pulled up as I was filming that house, and I went and asked him if anyone had lived in the property recently, and he said not in a couple years, but an investor had come in and just bought the property and was in the process of flipping it. So looks like I just missed my opportunity, but I still wrote down the property, and I'll confirm by doing a little research, because I would hate to miss up on the opportunity.